Hey everybody, Sam Kavaris in the Nimnik Chevrolet Video Sports Update. I was in Minnesota on Sunday for the game for the Jaguars against the Vikings, and while the Vikings aren't world beaters, they are a decent team. I know they went 3-13 last year, but Adrian Peterson was hurt for a good portion of that, and Christian Ponder is a much better player. And that's no excuse for the Jaguars. But this certainly was a winnable game for the Jaguars when you look at it. And when you look at how they lost the game, I thought Paul Posluszny's comments after the game were the most salient. We need to learn how to win these games. And that is exactly right. The Jaguars and many of those guys on that team, despite the fact that there's a new owner, a new coach, Gabbert's a completely different player, those guys are used to not winning games, regrettably, under Jack Del Rio. So they've got to figure out how you win those games. Give Ponder credit, did a nice job, looked the safety off, and then threw the ball into the soft spot of the zone. But teams that win games figure out how to make that play and keep the other team from tying it in overtime. And Blair Walsh, well, he's always had a good leg at Georgia. He was never that accurate at Georgia. So, you know, congratulations to the Vikings. And I can tell you it was certainly heartbreaking for all the Jaguar fans who were there. And yes, there were a few there in Minnesota. The new overtime rules were in effect, and hopefully you caught wind of that. The overtime rules, if you kick a field goal, the other team gets the ball. If you score a touchdown, you win the game. If you both kick field goals, it becomes a true sudden death after that. Pretty simple, same as they had in the playoffs last year. Jaguars have to get themselves right for Houston this week. Houston had an anemic running game, which is hard to say for them when they have Arian Foster, and he did score 2 touchdowns. But that's something that the Jaguars certainly can concentrate on. But if they don't get pressure on Matt Schaub, the defensive backfield will get lit up because Schaub is experienced enough, talented enough, with good enough wide receivers in order to take advantage of that. There's no question. Game time, 1 o'clock Sunday at the stadium, the home opener, where 60 Minutes will be there recording what happens. And their premise is Jacksonville a good fit for the NFL? Is the NFL a good fit for Jacksonville? As they kind of put the finishing touches on their story about Shad Khan that'll run in October. Their story will be about how Khan truly is the new face of the American dream as the Jaguars' new owner. Meanwhile, the Gators do go on the road and win against Texas A&M. They have to go on the road again this week against Tennessee. It would be 2 massive wins back-to-back if they can beat the Vols up there. Derek Dickey is trying to rebuild that franchise. He's got a very solid quarterback. They have a lot of experienced players coming back, which is good. The bad news for Tennessee is that they weren't very good when they got that experience last year, certainly not in the swamp. So we'll see how things go. In 2 weeks, the game against Kentucky can be seen on Channel 4. That game's already been announced. Noon broadcast time, 12:21 start for kickoff. Georgia should win handily this week. Not a problem for Mark Richt and company to play at home against an overmatched opponent. And Florida State gets kind of their real test. Wake Forest has given them some fits in the past, and that's somebody that, or a team that can certainly do so again. Florida State will have to build a lot of confidence in order to beat Wake Forest. But as E.J. Manuel told us this week, they've only shown about 3% of the entire offensive playbook in their first 2 wins. Should be a nice matchup in Tallahassee, and one, if the Seminoles can win, certainly will bolster their confidence. Big high school football weekend, big Fletcher Sandalwood game coming up on Friday night. All that coming up Friday night right here on Channel 4. I'm Sam Kavaris, and that's the Nimnik Chevrolet Video Sports Update.